The most intriguing situation of the 2024 offseason has to be the situation of the Chicago Bears. They land in a similar situation to last year, but was the Justin Fields jump enough to secure his job? The Bears fan base is pretty split on what each of them want. Half want Justin Fields, and the other half want Caleb Williams. So where do they go? In this video, I'm going to analyze the options that the Chicago Bears have and ultimately determine what they should do. I'm Chase Keller, and welcome to what the Chicago Bears should do in the 2024 NFL Draft. Enjoy. Before we dive into all of the different scenarios that Chicago has, let's talk about why I'm even making this video. After securing the first overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Bears traded it out to the Carolina Panthers for a huge haul, including Carolina's 2024 first-round pick and DJ Moore. The 2024 pick would give them 2 first-rounders, and DJ Moore gives their developing Fields a wide receiver 1. Eventually, that first-round pick turned into first overall. But how did Moore contribute to Fields' development? Well, Fields made a jump. But was that jump enough? Fields improved with passing yards, he was more confident in the pocket, he had a career-low interception count and interception rate, he didn't throw as many risky passes, he generally improved as a passer. As a runner, he stayed just as impactful and dominated on the ground, making huge and flashy plays as a scrambler. So generally, he made another jump and has improved every year of his career. Now, his problems come with his ability to put the team on his back. He had 16 passing touchdowns and 20 total touchdowns in 2023, which are both decreases from his 2022 season. The Bears lost several games due to his inability to play in the second half, as we saw it with blown leads like against Denver and Cleveland, and against general crapshoots like the end-of-year Green Bay game. Some Bears fans blame the play calling from former offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. Some fans think the statistics can't show how good Fields was. No matter the excuse, it's clear that Fields did not play well enough to have job security as the Bears' signal caller. So that leads us to where we are now. Do the Bears go forward with Fields, or do they find another signal caller to hopefully take their team to the playoffs? Let's talk about the options and the scenarios that Chicago has going into the 2024 NFL Draft. To kick off these scenarios, let's talk about the most discussed point of this offseason: draft Caleb Williams and trade Justin Fields. There are several possibilities for a Fields trade, but for this idea, I just need one team to test out trades with. For this video, let's say that the Bears trade Justin Fields to the Atlanta Falcons. I got 3 possible trades, so let's dive into them. The first return is the most realistic return in my eyes. I don't think Fields is worth a first rounder in himself, so Chicago probably won't get that hefty of a return. They get a 2025 second and a 2025 third in this mock trade. So with that being said, they don't have any pick changes for the 2024 draft, meaning they stay everywhere. That obviously means Caleb Williams goes first overall, as that's what this section is for, but the 9th overall pick can be a wide variety. It begins with my favorite selection with Dallas Turner at pick 9. Turner is an athletic rusher off the edge that fits the scheme and contemplates Montez Sweat very well, and adding another great pass rusher off the edge can make this D-line really deadly. Then after him, the Bears go wide out to grab what they missed out on earlier. Slot receiver Jalen McMillan once had 1,000 yards inside a stacked receiver core, and he fills in that slot void, especially if Mooney walks away in free agency. The second option is if there are receivers available at pick 9. The more obvious option is Rome Odunze, and that's where I lead here. Odunze gives their new signal caller a 3-level threat with great route running and red zone upside, given his nice frame and physical play style. If receiver is the pick at 9th overall, Chicago has more reliable options at their 3rd round pick. They can go center, they can go defensive tackle, but I'm going to give them Georgia's Javon Bullard at 75. He's probably the best player on the board here, and with his versatility to play both man and zone coverage, he will fit right into Matt Eberflus's scheme. And the third option is Brock Bowers at 9. but this is really only a good pick if Shane Waldron continues to spam 2 tight end sets as he transfers over to Chicago. You stack up Cole Kmet and Brock Bowers on the field at the same time, and you have 2 potential top 10 tight ends on the field. Then you go into pick 75 with the same mindset of the last mock I had, so let's switch it up and give Chicago the versatile and athletic Sione Vaki out of Utah. That was one trade scenario. Now that we have some crucial information and have laid ground for some of the possible high picks, I won't take as long for these next 2. The second trade scenario with Atlanta involves a 2024 pick. With that being said, Chicago gets the 43rd overall pick in this draft and downgrades that second pick to a 2025 4th rounder. By landing a second round pick, we have 4 picks to go forward with. Let's take each scenario from the last trade. Williams goes first, Turner goes 9th. Now at 43, the Bears can go with the receiver for Williams and grab a better option than McMillan may be at pick 75. In this situation, they get Xavier Legette. Now I'm jumping into the recording here. When I wrote this script, Legette was listed at 6'3", 227. So as we know, the Senior Bowl just put out their measurables, and Xavier Legette is actually 6'1", 223. So that may be a little concerning, so let's skip this idea. For the number 9 pick being Rome Odunze, the Bears get their skill player and won't particularly need another one until the later rounds. So at pick 43, the Bears go with Kalen Bullock, the athletic and nice tackling safety out of USC. Bullock reunites with Caleb Williams and gives the Bears another bright spot in the defense, something he's used to being after playing the last 3 seasons on an awful USC defense. After that, it's now between defensive tackle and center. I don't think you take a center if Zach Frazier's off the board, so Duke defensive tackle Dwayne Carter is the 3rd round pick here. And now with the number 9 pick being Brock Bowers, I have 2 unpopular picks here. Toledo cornerback Quinyon Mitchell at 43, and West Virginia center Zach Frazier at 75. For Mitchell, he gives the Bears a nice combination of ball skills and coverage instincts, but he's not particularly great at anything. And then for Frazier at pick 75, the Bears are able to replace Lucas Patrick with a new threat in the pass game. We have one more trade scenario for Fields, and this is a huge one. To get a 1st round pick for Fields, the Bears are going to have to give up more. But if they do so, they can have 3 1st round selections. So here's the plan. Chicago ends up getting the 8th overall pick, but they have to give up Justin Fields, 75th overall, and a round 6 selection in the 2025 draft. Now they have 3 1st round picks and can get a bunch of talent. So Williams is obviously number 1, and now having the 8th pick, the opportunity of getting a receiver jumps that much higher. So this first scenario includes Odunze at 8 and Turner at 9. This not only gives Williams 2 wide receiver 1s in his offense, but it also puts 2 very good athletic edge rushers on the same team. This would be a dream for Chicago, but it also means risking more pieces and you don't really have an opportunity to improve the offensive line. Then there's Odunze at pick 8, but instead of going with edge rusher, you go defensive tackle, giving Illinois defensive lineman Jerzon Newton an opportunity to go in the top 10. While you could go with a nice pass rusher off the edge, you could stay in state and go with a nice pass rusher on the inside. Pairing Turner and Sweat would be a good idea, but pairing Newton and your younger defensive tackles drafted in 2023 offers a nice rotation. You could also go with multiple skill players like Odunze at 8 and Bowers at 9, but I never got that opportunity. So that wraps up the opportunities on if Williams goes to Chicago and Fields gets traded away. What if Chicago doesn't go with Williams? If the Bears don't want to give up on Justin Fields just yet, there's really only one other prospect that they can take at 1st overall and it actually be worth it. Meet Marvin Harrison Jr., the Ohio State wide receiver that might just be the greatest wide receiver prospect of all time. He's a dominant receiver with tons of things you try to find in a wide receiver prospect. I like him so much in this draft that he stands as my only Hall of Fame prediction, which is hard to predict, but I just like to do it for fun. So now, let's dive into the 2 different scenarios if Harrison Jr. goes 1st overall. First off, the Bears can play it safe and stick at 1st overall. This guarantees them MHJ, but it doesn't allow for them to get more volume if they were to trade down. I came up with one trade scenario that would land the Bears MHJ, and I'll go over that in a second. Let's say the Bears stay at 1. They'll have a lot of options later on without the stress of surrounding their quarterback, and it starts with Dallas Turner back at 9. This gives some of the same scenarios as taking Williams first overall, but it takes away the stress of needing to draft surround sound. I got 3 different players at pick 75, and all 3 of them have been drafted before. Javon Bullard, Dwayne Carter, and Zach Frazier are all repeat selections, and they all fit this Chicago team. I think at least one of these guys will be available at this selection, so Bears fans, these guys should be on your radar. But after that, what happens if Chicago doesn't take edge rusher at pick 9? They can go interior D-line as well, taking Johnny Newton as mentioned earlier. This pulls up the same 3 options mentioned before, so I don't have anything to say here. Then there's the shocking picks. Brock Bowers was mentioned earlier, and when I was able to mock him, I chose Dwayne Carter at 75. This provides Fields with 2 new skill position players in order to attempt to save his Chicago career. Some point after that, I somehow got the opportunity to take Joe Alt at 9th overall, and this would not be a bad idea as long as someone is able to move inside. Alt is a beast in both the pass and the run, and this could give Fields a new reliable protector on the line. I paired this with another potential steal and good pickup for the Bears in Clemson's Rook Orororo. He's got so many different traits, and I promise you Bears fans, this would be a very good value selection. And there's even a possible scenario where the Chicago Bears can go with Marvin Harrison Jr. at pick 1 and still get a quarterback. How is that possible? In some of my mocks, Jaden Daniels fell all the way to pick 9, and I decided to take that scenario to make this interesting. So Marvin Harrison Jr. at pick 1, Daniels at pick 9, and somehow Orororo fell to pick 75 yet again. So these first 3 rounds would be full of steals and talent if this scenario was to somehow happen. And now there's the chance to get Marvin Harrison Jr. through trading down. I only had one situation where they could do this, and it comes through New England desperately wanting Caleb Williams. The Bears give New England first overall, and they get back pick 3, a 2025 second, and another reason to not take Dallas Turner. They get Matthew Judon in this mock trade. Judon may be getting up there in age, but he still provides Chicago with sheer talent at the edge position. So in this situation, they have 3 different combinations. In all 3, they take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3, and they pick up Newton, Alt, and Bowers at pick 9. With Newton, they pair it with a new center in Frazier. With Alt, they go off to the defense and take Bullard. And they return to Orororo after taking Brock Bowers. There are so many different scenarios for the Chicago Bears if they do take Marvin Harrison Jr. at first overall. But we aren't done. There are 2 trade down scenarios that I would like to go over. In these 2 trades, there are names that go to Chicago that I have yet to mention, so stick in with me here. Let's begin with the possibility of the New York Giants trading up from pick 6 to pick 1. This knocks Chicago out of the running for both Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr., but the potential to add more depth to the roster. Here's the trade that I came up with. The Bears trade away the first pick and a 3rd rounder in 2025, and they receive the 6th overall pick, 39th overall, and a 1st rounder in 2025. As a result of the trade, they get picks 6, 9, 39, and 75 in the first 3 rounds. In all of the mocks that I performed, Malik Neighbors was there and ready to go. Because of that, I worked around a lot of different scenarios to give Chicago many different players. In this first situation, I bulked up the defense and made them a possible top 10 unit in 2022. Dallas Turner pick 9, Quinyon Mitchell is pick 39, and Sione Vaki is pick 75. I've already discussed all 3 of these players, so let's move on. Then we have a new man here. Neighbors 6 and Bowers 9 to give Fields more surround sound, but Penn State edge rusher Chop Robinson comes in here at pick 39. He can win off the edge in a dogfight and has a fantastic first step on the line. He's got elusive tools and physical tools to win in many ways, and he should be a threat in the NFL. Bullard is pick 75, and we already know the deal with him. And after that, we have another combination that combines multiple defensive players, this time to bolster up the D-line. Johnny Newton goes pick 9 and Robinson goes at 39. This is a beautiful spot to get Chop as well, and he's probably going around picks 35 to 45. Alright, one more trade to go. Let's go through a scenario that would shock the world. There have been rumors about the Pittsburgh Steelers trading up to get a new quarterback to compete with Kenny Pickett. But what if that includes a potential trade up to first overall? In this trade scenario, the Steelers get first overall and a 2025 fourth. In return, the Bears get pick 20, pick 54, pick 120, and a first round pick in 2025. That's not it though. They also get a player in wide receiver Allen Robinson, who returns to Chicago for his second stint with the franchise. If this is to happen, I still do think the Bears go with wide receiver in the first round. That all depends on who is available, and in my first two mocks, none of the top 3 guys fell to 9th overall. In this first one, the team drafts Dallas Turner at pick 9 and goes with Brian Thomas at number 20. As Malik Neighbors' teammate, Thomas went for nearly 1,200 receiving yards and a great 17 touchdowns, giving Fields a new red zone threat. After that, all 3 of these mocks have center Jackson Powers at 52. If you are a Bears fan, get used to this name. He may be your new starting center in 2024. And then after him, Georgia's Devon Bullard is pick 75. It's like the millionth time I've mocked him here. The second mock switched things up a bit. With Newton being pick 9 and with Thomas Jr. on the board, I decided to go with a different receiver in Oregon's Troy Franklin. He was Bo Nix's number 1 option for 2 straight seasons, and with his athleticism shown in his routes, he might be an under-the-radar top 20 selection. After Franklin, it's Powers Johnson and Bullard yet again. And finally, the third mock here gets Odunze at pick 9. This allows for Chicago to get their immediate defensive starter at pick 20, and that belongs to a shocking fall in Laiatu Latu. The UCLA edge rusher isn't the best complement to Montez Sweat given he's not the most athletic, but the man can bull rush you into the stands, and he has a very great set of finesse moves. And unlike Turner, he's got great block deconstruction as well. Then after that, we have a couple repeats in Powers Johnson and Dwayne Carter. So, I've come down to my final decision. Actually, I've had this idea for the last couple of months now. If you have watched my content over the last couple of months, you would know that I think Chicago should give Fields one more year to prove himself with a good surrounding. And that's where I lean towards after all of my research for this video. Let's talk about the scenario. In this mock draft, Chicago trades down with New England with the same trade mentioned earlier. Afterwards, the team gets MHJ at 3, Newton at 9, and Frazier at 75. After that, the team goes for offensive line depth at 110 as well, as they might not get a starter, but they can get a swing guy in Blake Fisher. At 122, the team spends capital on a safety that they missed out on for pick 75. That safety is Maryland's Bo Brady, who I am high on in this safety class. With their final pick of the draft, they swing at cornerback depth that they don't particularly have and select Mizzou's Chris Abrams-Drain, who I am surprised is going this late in these drafts. And that wraps up this video. Who do you think the Chicago Bears should draft? Should they stick with Fields or roll with Williams? Let me know in the comment section below. Wait, are you not subscribed yet? Well, do it now. I release content like this all the time and would really appreciate your support. I'm Chase Keller from Chase Keller Journalism, and I will see you all next time.